9 years ago, my wife died of cancer. Today, I went to the farmer's market and saw a little girl identical to her. What happened next changed my life forever. I stopped dead in my tracks when I saw her. Among the stalls of fresh produce and handmade crafts at the downtown farmer's market, an 8-year-old girl was playing with a rag doll. Her chestnut curls shimmered in the morning sunlight that filtered through the colorful canopies, and when she looked up, I felt like the world had stopped spinning. Those were Elena's eyes, not just the color, that emerald green that had captivated me 15 years ago, but the way they sparkled when she smiled, the way they crinkled slightly at the corners when she was focused. It was as if I had traveled back in time and was seeing my wife as a child. My reusable shopping bag slipped from my hands. Apples rolled across the brick pavement, but I couldn't move. The little girl ran over and started helping me collect the fruit. "Mister, you dropped your apples," she said in a musical voice that made me tremble. "Thank you, sweetheart," I managed to whisper, kneeling down to help her. When our hands brushed while reaching for the same apple, I felt a strange electricity, as if Elena was there with me. "Are you okay? You look really pale," she asked with genuine concern in those familiar eyes. At that moment, a young woman came running over. "Sophia, I told you not to wander away from our booth," she gently scolded before turning to me. "I'm sorry, sir. I hope my daughter didn't bother you." "Not at all," I replied, studying the woman. She was brunette with soft features, completely different from Elena. "Your daughter is very kind." "Mom," the man looked sad. "I just wanted to help," Sophia explained, still holding one of my apples. The woman smiled warmly. "Sophia has always been like that. She seems to have radar for people who need help." She extended her hand. "I'm Carmen, and this is my daughter Sophia." "I'm Richard," I replied, shaking her hand. "And you're right, I've been having a difficult day." Sophia looked at me with those achingly familiar eyes. "Did you lose someone special?" "My mom says that when people look really sad, it's because they miss someone." The question hit me like a punch to the gut. Carmen blushed. "Sophia, you shouldn't ask strangers such personal questions." "It's okay," I said, looking at the little girl. "Yes, I lost someone very special. My wife." "Did she go to heaven?" Sophia asked with the innocence typical of children. "Yes, a long time ago." "Then she must be watching over you from up there." "My daddy is in heaven too, and mommy says he takes care of us always." Carmen placed a protective hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Sophia lost her father when she was 3. It's been just the two of us since then." "I'm so sorry," I said genuinely. "Thank you. It's been hard, but Sophia gives me strength to keep going every day." Carmen looked at her daughter with infinite love. "Well, we don't want to take up more of your time. Have a good day, Mr. Richard." "Wait," I said impulsively. "Do you come to the market often?" "Every Saturday," Carmen replied. "We have a small flower booth at the end of the row." "Flowers?" "Yes, we grow some varieties in our little garden. It's not much, but it helps with expenses." Sophia smiled brightly. "You should see our roses. Mommy says they're the prettiest ones at the market." "I'd love to see them," I said, surprising myself. I had avoided flowers for years. They reminded me too much of Elena and her garden. "Really?" Carmen seemed surprised. "Okay, if you want, you can come with us." We walked between the stalls until we reached the end of the market. Their booth was small but beautiful, with flowers arranged in colorful buckets. There were roses, sunflowers, daisies, and in the center, an arrangement of white lilies that took my breath away. "Lilies were my wife's favorite flowers," I murmured without thinking. Sophia looked at me with understanding. "Then you should take some to her. Mommy says that people in heaven like to know we still think about them." Carmen shot her daughter a warning look, but I smiled for the first time in weeks. "You know what? I think you're right. I bought a bouquet of white lilies, but when I pulled out my wallet, Carmen shook her head. "No, please. Sophia is right about this. Some things can't be charged for, but I insist. Besides, you look like you really need them." I held the bouquet carefully. "Thank you. You've both been very kind to me. Will you come next Saturday?" Sophia asked hopefully. I looked at this extraordinary little girl with her eyes that reminded me so much of Elena and nodded. "Yes, I think I will." During the following week, I couldn't stop thinking about Sophia, not just because of her physical resemblance to Elena, but because of something deeper, the way she had perceived my sadness, her natural instinct to help, her childlike wisdom about loss and love. Saturday came and I arrived early at the farmer's market. I found Carmen and Sophia setting up their booth, and this time I brought something with me, a box of gardening tools I had found in the garage. "What's that?" Sophia asked curiously. "I thought you might be able to use these tools for your garden. They belong to my wife." Carmen looked at me in surprise. "Mr. Richard, we can't accept this. Please." Elena would have wanted them to continue being useful. She loved gardening as much as you do. Sophia took a small trowel and examined it carefully. "Can I ask what your wife was like?" I sat on a wooden crate near the booth. Elena was special. She was an elementary school teacher, and she had this way of making everyone feel important. She had a beautiful garden at our house, and she said that flowers were like children. They needed love, patience and care to bloom. Why didn't you keep taking care of her garden after she left? Sophia asked with the direct honesty of children. The question hurt, but somehow, coming from her, it didn't feel like an intrusion. Because it hurt too much. Every time I saw the flowers, I remembered what I had lost. But maybe the flowers remembered her too, Sophia said softly. Maybe they were sad because you didn't visit them. Her words reached my heart. Carmen put a hand on her daughter's shoulder. Sophia, not everyone processes loss the same way. I know, Mommy, but sometimes it helps to talk about the people we love, right? I spent the rest of the morning with them, helping at the booth and listening to Sophia's stories about their garden. She told me how she had learned to care for flowers by watching her mother, how she greeted them by name every morning, and how she believed plants could feel when people were sad. Would you like to see our garden? Sophia asked when they were closing the booth. Carmen blushed. Sophia, we can't invite Mr. Richard to our house. We barely know him. It's okay, I said quickly. I understand, but he's not a stranger. Sophia protested. He's our friend, and friends help each other, right? Carmen looked at me apologetically. Sophia is right that you've been very kind, but we live in a very modest neighborhood, and I don't care where you live, I interrupted. If you're inviting me, I'd love to see your garden. Their house was small but cozy, in a working-class neighborhood on the outskirts of town. But the garden was magical, in a space no bigger than my living room. Carmen and Sophia had created a small paradise of flowers and plants. Look, Sophia ran to a section full of roses in different colors. These are our friendship roses. Mommy says each color means something different. Red ones are for love, Carmen explained. White ones for peace, yellow for friendship, and pink for gratitude. And those, I asked, pointing to some flowers I didn't recognize. Those are special, Sophia said proudly. They're chrysanthemums. Mommy says that in some countries people use them to remember people who have died. But we grow them because they're pretty and because they remind us that life continues. I knelt next to the flowers, gently touching the petals. Elena would have loved this garden. Would you like to tell us more about her? Sophia asked, sitting next to me in the dirt. And so, surrounded by flowers, and with a little girl who reminded me so much of my wife, I began to talk. I told them about how I met Elena, about our plans to have children, about her battle with cancer, and about how I had closed myself off from the world after losing her. She sounds like a very special person, Carmen said softly. She was, and I think she would have liked to meet both of you. Do you think she sent us to help you? Sophia asked with her bright eyes. Carmen shot her daughter a warning look, but I smiled. You know what? I think so. Saturday market visits became the most anticipated part of my week. Sophia and I developed a special friendship based on our mutual understanding of loss and our shared love for flowers. Carmen, initially cautious, began to relax as she got to know me better. One day, Sophia asked me a question that changed everything. Mr. Richard, why haven't you visited your wife? What do you mean? Well, you say she's in heaven, but she must also be somewhere here, right? Like in the cemetery. Carmen gently reprimanded her. Sophia, those are very personal questions. No, it's okay, I said, feeling a knot in my stomach. You're right, Sophia. Elena is buried in Graceland Cemetery. But I haven't been to visit her since the funeral. Why not? She asked with genuine curiosity. Because I'm afraid, I admitted for the first time. Afraid that it will be too real, that it will hurt too much. But don't you think she feels lonely? Sophia asked with concern. Her words pierced through me like an arrow. I never thought about that. Mommy and I visit Daddy every month. We bring him flowers and tell him about our lives. Mommy says that even though he can't answer us, he listens to us. And you believe that? Sometimes, when the wind moves the flowers we bring him, I feel like it's him telling us he's okay. That night I couldn't sleep. Sophia's words echoed in my mind. For 9 years, I had been so focused on my own pain that I had never considered the possibility that Elena might be waiting for me somehow. The next day, I did something I hadn't done in almost a decade. I went to the cemetery. Graceland Cemetery was quiet that Tuesday morning. I brought a bouquet of white lilies, the same ones I had bought at Carmen and Sophia's booth, and walked slowly toward Elena's grave. Her headstone was simple. Elena Martinez Herrera, beloved wife, dedicated teacher. Her light continues to shine. I sat on the grass next to the grave and placed the flowers. Hello, my love, I whispered. I know it's been a long time. I'm so sorry for leaving you alone. The wind gently moved the flowers, and for a moment I could swear I felt Elena's presence. I began to talk, telling her about the past years, about my loneliness, about Carmen and Sophia, and about how a little girl with her eyes had helped me find my way back to life. I think you'd like them, I told the headstone. Sophia has your same kindness, your same way of seeing beauty in everything. everything, and Carmen is an incredible mother, like you would have been. I spent hours there, and when I finally got up to leave, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: peace. The following Saturday, I arrived at the market with a proposal. I've been thinking, I told Carmen while Sophia played with other children near the booth. How would you feel if I helped you expand your business? Carmen looked at me in surprise. What do you mean? Well, I have business experience, and you have a beautiful product. Maybe we could work together to grow your flower business. Mr. Richard, we can't accept charity. It's not charity, I said firmly. It's a partnership. You provide the talent and dedication. I provide business experience and some initial capital. We share the profits equally. But why would you want to do that? Carmen asked suspiciously. Because, I said, looking at Sophia, who was showing her flowers to other children. Elena always wanted me to use my skills to help others, and I think she would have liked me to help two people as special as you. Carmen looked at me for a long moment. Are you sure? This isn't just about Sophia resembling your wife, is it? At first, maybe it was, I admitted, but now it's about something more. It's about the family you've become to me, and about the way you've changed my life. Over the following months, we worked together to expand the business. We rented a larger space at the market, diversified our products, and began selling arrangements for special events. Sophia became our little ambassador, charming customers with her knowledge of flowers and her contagious smile. But more important than the business success was the growth of our relationship. Carmen and Sophia became the family I never knew I needed. I started having dinner with them on Sundays, helped Sophia with her homework, and even began teaching her about business and math. You know what? Sophia told me one day while we were working in the garden, I think your wife is happy. Why do you say that? Because you smile now, and when the people we love are happy, the people in heaven are happy too. 1 year after our first meeting, I decided to do something special. I had been visiting Elena's grave regularly, and each time I brought flowers from our garden. That morning, I took Carmen and Sophia with me. Are you sure? Carmen asked. It's a very private moment. You're part of my life now, I said, and Elena was part of me. I want you to meet each other. At the cemetery, Sophia behaved with the natural reverence of children. She approached the grave and gently placed a bouquet of roses she had made herself. Hello, Mrs. Elena, she whispered. I'm Sophia. I've been taking care of your husband. I hope you're doing well. Carmen had tears in her eyes. Thank you for letting us be here. Thank you for bringing light back into my life, I replied. While we were there, Sophia noticed something I had never seen before, a small plant growing next to Elena's grave. Look, she exclaimed, a flower is growing. It was a small white lily, growing wild among the other plants in the cemetery. How is that possible? I murmured. Maybe, Sophia said with her childlike wisdom, it's your wife's way of telling you she's happy we came. That night, while we were having dinner at Carmen and Sophia's house, I reflected on the year that had passed. I had started as a broken man, lost in his grief, unable to move forward. But a little girl with my deceased wife's eyes had shown me that life continues, that love doesn't die with the people we love, and that sometimes second chances come in the most unexpected forms. What are you thinking about? Carmen asked. About how sometimes people enter our lives exactly when we need them most, I replied, looking at Sophia, who was drawing flowers in her notebook. Do you think it was a coincidence? Carmen asked. No, I said with certainty. I think Elena knew I needed help, and she asked you to find me. Sophia looked up from her drawing. Does that mean we're a family now? Carmen blushed. Sophia, you can't ask things like that. Yes, I said without hesitation. That's exactly what it means. We're a family. Epilogue. 2 years later, the flower business had become the most successful one at the farmer's market. But more importantly, we had built something none of us had had before, a complete family. Carmen and I had fallen in love slowly, building our relationship on a foundation of mutual respect, shared experiences, and our love for Sophia. She had become the daughter Elena, and I had always dreamed of having. On the second anniversary of our first meeting, the three of us went together to visit Elena's grave. Sophia, now 10 years old, had prepared a special speech. Mrs. Elena, she said solemnly, thank you for sending me to take care of Richard. Now he's my heart daddy, and we promised to always take care of him. While we were there, we noticed that the small white lily had multiplied. Now there were 3 flowers growing next to the grave, one for each of us. Carmen whispered. Elena is giving us her blessing, I said, knowing in my heart it was true. That night, when I was saying goodnight to Sophia, she asked me one last question that filled me with peace. Do you think that when I'm older and have my own children, I can tell them about your first wife? Of course, I told her. Elena will always be part of our family story. Good, she said with a smile, because I think she would have liked having me as a granddaughter. As I turned off the light in her room, I knew Sophia was right. Elena had sent me exactly what I needed. Not a replacement for the love we had lost, but a new form of love that honored the past while building the future. Sometimes, miracles come disguised as coincidences. Sometimes, second chances present themselves in the form of a little girl with your deceased wife's eyes playing with a doll at the local farmer's market. And sometimes, life shows us that true love never dies. It just transforms, multiplies, and finds new ways to bloom. The love I felt for Elena led me to the love I now feel for Carmen and Sophia. And every day when I see my adopted daughter caring for flowers with the same tenderness Elena put into her garden, I know the circle has been completed. Because deep down, this isn't a story about loss. It's a story about how love finds a way to continue, to grow, and to give us second chances when we need them most. 3 months had passed since Carmen, Sophia, and I had officially become a family. We had decided to move together to a larger house on the outskirts of town, with a garden big enough to expand our flower business and give Sophia the space she deserved to grow. The house we found was perfect, a 1960s construction with large windows, hardwood floors, and most importantly, a backyard that seemed to have been designed by someone who truly understood plants. The previous owner had been a retired botanist who had spent decades cultivating rare and exotic species. "Look, Daddy Richard," Sophia shouted on our first morning in the new house, using the name she had naturally started calling me. "There's a tree house." Indeed, in the center of the garden stood a century-old oak tree with a small wooden house built among its branches. It was rustic but solid, with a rope ladder hanging invitingly. "Be careful, sweetheart," Carmen said, but I could see the excitement in her eyes too. While Sophia explored her new kingdom, Carmen and I began cataloging the plants we had inherited. There were varieties I had never seen before: wild orchids, antique roses, and in a special corner of the garden, protected by a bamboo fence, a collection of plants that seemed almost mystical. "What do you think this is?" Carmen asked, pointing to a plant with silver leaves and flowers that seemed to glow with their own light. "I have no idea," I admitted, "but Mr. Mendoza, the previous owner, left some notebooks in the house. Maybe we'll find answers there." That night after dinner, I sat in the study with Dr. Mendoza's notebooks. They were filled with meticulous notes, detailed plant drawings, and something that caught my attention: constant references to the memory garden. One entry in particular struck me: March 15, 1998, "Today I planted the first seeds of the memory garden. My wife Isabella died a year ago, and I've been experimenting with plants that, according to ancestral botanical literature, have special properties for connecting with memories and emotions." I know it sounds mystical, but after 40 years as a scientist, I've learned that nature has secrets that science doesn't yet fully understand. I continued reading, fascinated. Dr. Mendoza had dedicated the last 20 years of his life to creating a special garden, where each plant had been selected for its supposed ability to evoke memories, heal emotional wounds, or facilitate spiritual connections. "What are you reading?" Carmen asked, appearing in the doorway with 2 cups of tea. "I think we bought more than a house," I said, showing her the notebook. "We bought an emotional healing laboratory." Carmen read over my shoulder. "Do you think it's real? That plants can really do that?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but after everything we've lived through, I'm willing to believe in miracles." The following week, while Carmen and I worked at the market, Sophia spent her afternoons after school exploring the garden. One afternoon, I came home to find her sitting in the special garden, surrounded by Dr. Mendoza's mystical plants, with her eyes closed and an expression of deep concentration. "What are you doing, little one?" I asked softly. She opened her eyes, and for a moment, she seemed disoriented. "Daddy Richard, I think these plants talk to me." "What do you mean?" "When I sit here and close my eyes, I see things. I see an older man taking care of these plants. I see a lady who looks like him but younger," and she paused, looking at me with her extraordinary eyes. "I see your wife Elena." I felt a chill run down my spine. "How do you know it's Elena?" "Because she looks like me when I'm older. And because when I see her, I feel the same love you feel when you talk about her." Carmen appeared at the back door just in time to hear the conversation. "Sophia, what are you talking about?" "Mom, I think the plants in this garden are magical. They can show memories of people who have been here." Carmen looked at me with concern. "Do you think we should be worried?" "No," I said instinctively. "I think we should be grateful." That night, after Sophia fell asleep, Carmen and I talked about what our daughter had said. "Do you think it's possible?" Carmen asked. "That plants could have some kind of power?" "Honestly, I don't know," I replied. "But I do know that since we got here, we've all been more at peace. Sophia seems more mature, wiser. You've been more relaxed. And I've been dreaming about Elena again. But they're not nightmares. They're beautiful dreams, as if she's giving me her blessing." Carmen took my hand. "Maybe we don't need to understand how it works. Maybe we just need to accept that some places have special energy." 2 weeks later, on a Saturday morning, an older man appeared at our door. He was tall, with white hair and kind eyes that seemed to have seen much of the world. "Excuse the intrusion," he said with a soft voice. "I'm Dr. Alejandro Mendoza, the son of the previous owner of this house." "Dr. Mendoza," I exclaimed, "please come in. We're the new owners. I'm Richard, and this is my wife Carmen and our daughter Sophia. Pleased to meet you, he said, but I noticed his eyes kept drifting toward Sophia, who had come running from the garden upon hearing voices. Are you the son of the man who had the special garden? Sophia asked directly. Dr. Mendoza was speechless for a moment. Yes, little one. How do you know about the special garden? Because the plants talked to me, Sophia replied naturally. Carmen rushed to explain. Sophia has a very active imagination. No, Dr. Mendoza interrupted. It's not imagination. He addressed Sophia. What do the plants tell you? They show me memories. I see your daddy taking care of the flowers. I see a pretty lady who I think was your mommy. And I see other people who have been in the garden. People who were sad and then became happy. Dr. Mendoza sat heavily in a chair. Incredible. My father spent 20 years studying the therapeutic properties of certain plants. He could never scientifically prove his theories, but he was convinced he had created something special. What kind of properties? Carmen asked. According to his research, certain plants have the ability to absorb and retain emotional energy, as if they were natural recorders of human experiences. My father believed that especially sensitive people could access those recordings. People like Sophia? I asked. Possibly. My father wrote about children who seemed to have a special connection with plants. He called them garden interpreters. Sophia approached Dr. Mendoza. Is your daddy in heaven now? Yes, little one. He died 6 months ago. Would you like me to ask the plants if he's okay? Dr. Mendoza was speechless, with tears in his eyes. Would you do that for me? That afternoon, we all went to the special garden. Sophia sat in the center, surrounded by the mystical plants, while Dr. Mendoza, Carmen, and I watched from a respectful distance. I close my eyes and think about your daddy, Sophia explained. The plants will show me what I need to know. For several minutes, Sophia remained still, with her eyes closed and an expression of deep concentration. Finally, she opened her eyes and smiled. Your daddy is here, she said simply. He's very happy that you came. He says the plants have been waiting for someone like me to continue his work. What else does he say? Dr. Mendoza asked with a broken voice. He says not to worry about him. He's with his wife now, and they're taking care of the garden from heaven. He also says you should keep visiting, because the plants miss you. Dr. Mendoza couldn't contain his tears. Does he say anything else? Sophia closed her eyes again. He says this garden was created to help people heal, and that we are the perfect family to take care of it, because we know what it's like to lose someone, and we also know what it's like to find love again. After Dr. Mendoza's visit, our life took a completely new direction. Dr. Mendoza became a regular visitor, bringing with him his father's complete notebooks and research. Together, we began to better understand the true purpose of the garden. My father could never publish his research, Dr. Mendoza explained to us. The scientific community wasn't ready to accept the idea that plants could have such specific therapeutic properties, but he documented cases of people who had experienced emotional healing after spending time in the garden. What kind of healing? Carmen asked. Mainly people who had lost loved ones, but also individuals with trauma, depression, anxiety. My father believed the garden could facilitate a spiritual connection that promoted natural healing. Sophia, who had been listening attentively, raised her hand as if she were in school. Can we help more people like they helped us? What do you mean, little one? Dr. Mendoza asked. Well, Daddy Richard was very sad before he met us, and the garden plants helped him feel better. Can we help other sad people too? Carmen and I exchanged glances. Are you suggesting we open the garden to other people? Yes, Sophia exclaimed. Like a hospital, but for sad hearts instead of sick bodies. Dr. Mendoza smiled. You know, that was exactly my father's vision, to create a natural healing space where people could find peace and connection. Over the following months, we worked together to turn our house into a unique healing center. Dr. Mendoza provided the scientific research, I contributed my business experience and logistics, Carmen added her natural talent for caring for plants and people, and Sophia was our special interpreter, capable of connecting with plants in ways none of us could fully understand. We started slowly, inviting people who had lost loved ones to spend time in the garden. The first was Maria, a 70-year-old woman who had lost her husband after 50 years of marriage. I don't know why I'm here, Maria said when she arrived, clearly skeptical. My daughter insisted I come, but this seems silly to me. I understand your skepticism, I told her. I was skeptical too, but sometimes healing comes in ways we don't expect. Sophia approached Maria with her characteristic naturalness. What was your husband's name? Henry, Maria replied, softening her tone. Would you like me to ask the plants if he's okay? Maria looked at me incredulously. Seriously? You have nothing to lose, I said gently, and maybe something to gain. Maria agreed, and Sophia took her to the special garden. What happened next was extraordinary. According to Maria, Sophia transmitted messages so specific and personal from her deceased husband that there was no way a 10-year-old girl could know those details. She told me that Henry remembered the song we sang on our first date, Maria told us afterward, with tears in her eyes. Nobody else knows that song. And she told me he was proud of how I had taken care of our grandchildren after he left. Maria became our first graduate of the garden. After several sessions, she managed to find peace with her loss and began to live again, even starting to take dance classes she had abandoned years earlier. The news spread quickly. Soon we had a waiting list of people who wanted to experience the garden's healing. Not all were cases of grief. Some came with trauma, others with depression, and some simply seeking a deeper spiritual connection. 6 months after opening the garden to the public, we received a call that would change our lives again. It was from a children's hospital in the city. "Are you serious about helping children?" asked Dr. Patricia Ruiz, director of the Pediatric Oncology Department. "Of course," I replied. "How can we help?" "We have a boy, Matthew, who's 8 years old. He's in cancer remission, but he's developed severe depression. He's lost the will to live after everything he's been through. His parents are desperate." Carmen took the phone. "Do you think our garden could help him?" "Honestly, we don't know what else to do. Traditional therapy isn't working. If there's any chance your method could help him, we're willing to try." When Matthew arrived the following week, my heart broke. He was a small, fragile boy, bald from chemotherapy, with eyes that had seen too much suffering for his age. His parents, Elena and Carlos, looked exhausted and desperate. "Don't expect miracles," Matthew muttered when we introduced him. "I don't believe in miracles anymore." Sophia, who was now 11 years old and had developed impressive wisdom through her experiences in the garden, approached Matthew without hesitation. "Hi, Matthew. I'm Sophia. Want to see my secret garden?" "There are no secret gardens," Matthew replied bitterly. "There are just things adults make up to make kids feel better." "You're right," Sophia said, surprising him. "Adults sometimes make things up, but plants don't lie, and I'm not an adult." Something in Sophia's honesty touched Matthew. "What kind of garden is it?" "It's a garden where plants keep memories of all the people who have been here, including kids like us who have been very sick." "Have there been other kids like me here?" "Yes, and the plants remember how brave they were." "Want me to show you?" What happened over the following weeks was nothing short of miraculous. Matthew, who had arrived as a broken child without hope, began to gradually transform through his sessions in the garden. Sophia had a special way of connecting with him. Unlike adults, she didn't offer false hopes or empty platitudes. Instead, she showed him through the plants the stories of other children who had suffered and found ways to heal. "The plants show me a boy named Diego," Sophia told Matthew during one of their sessions. "He also had cancer. He was very angry for a long time because he didn't understand why it happened to him." "What happened to Diego?" Matthew asked, genuinely interested. "He learned that sometimes bad things happen to us so we can help other kids going through the same thing. Diego got better and now he's a doctor. He helps other kids like him." "How do you know it's true?" "Because plants don't lie. And because Diego planted one of these flowers before he left. Look." Sophia pointed to a beautiful purple flower growing in a special corner of the garden. "Every time a child gets better here, they plant a flower. It's like a promise that they're going to use their experience to help others." "Could I plant a flower?" Matthew asked timidly. "When you're ready," Sophia replied. "The plants will wait." 3 months later, Matthew arrived at the garden with completely different energy. He had gained weight, his hair had started to grow back, and most importantly, he had rediscovered his smile. "I think I'm ready to plant my flower," he announced. Our entire extended family gathered for the ceremony. Carmen and me, Sophia, Dr. Mendoza, Matthew's parents, and even Maria, who had become a kind of adoptive grandmother to all the children who visited the garden. "What kind of flower do you want to plant?" Sophia asked. "One that grows strong and helps other kids like me," Matthew replied. "And make it purple like Diego's." "Why purple?" Carmen asked. "Because purple is the color of courage, and I've learned that being brave doesn't mean not being afraid. It means doing what you have to do even when you're scared." As Matthew planted his flower, surrounded by all of us, I realized we had created something bigger than a healing garden. We had created an extended family, a community of people who had found hope after despair. "What do you wish for your flower?" Sophia asked, following the ritual we had developed. "I wish for it to grow strong and help other kids remember there are always reasons to keep fighting. And I wish that when other kids see it, they know that someone like them was here and got better." When he finished planting, Matthew turned to us with a radiant smile. "Thank you for teaching me that miracles do exist. They just sometimes come disguised as plants and girls who talk to them." 5 years later, our garden had become a well-known place throughout the region. We had helped hundreds of people find healing and peace. Sophia, now 16 years old, had developed her abilities to become a true healer, capable of helping people of all ages connect with their deceased loved ones and find the closure they needed. Carmen and I had expanded our flower business to include a horticultural therapy program, working with hospitals and care centers to bring the benefits of plants to people who couldn't visit us. Dr. Mendoza had meticulously documented all our cases, creating a unique database on alternative healing that was being studied by universities around the world. But most importantly, we had created a truly special family. Matthew, now 13 and completely cured, had become like a younger brother to Sophia, helping her work with other children who came to the garden. You know what I like most about our family? Sophia asked me one afternoon while we worked together in the garden. What? That we all came here because we were broken somehow. But instead of staying broken, we used our experiences to help others. It's like our pain had a purpose. Do you think Elena would be proud of what we've built? I asked her. I know she would, she replied with certainty, because every time we help someone heal, I feel her presence here. It's like she was part of the plan from the beginning. That night, as Carmen and I prepared for bed, we reflected on the incredible journey we had lived. Did you ever imagine we'd end up here? Carmen asked. Never, I admitted. When I met you and Sophia at the farmer's market, I was only thinking about my own healing. I never imagined we'd end up dedicating our lives to helping others heal. Do you regret anything? Only one thing, I said, embracing her. That Elena can't be here physically to see what we've accomplished. But she is here, Carmen murmured. She's in every flower Sophia plants, in every person we help heal, in every tear of joy we shed when someone finds peace. She was right. Elena was in everything we had built. Her love had been the seed that germinated into this incredible family and mission we had created. And as I fell asleep that night, I could swear I heard her voice in the wind that moved the leaves of our magical garden, whispering words of love and approval. Because sometimes true love doesn't end with death. Sometimes it transforms into something even more beautiful, the ability to help others find their own path to healing and hope. The journey had begun with a little girl with familiar eyes helping me pick up apples at a farmer's market. From that simple act of kindness had grown a love story that transcended death, a family that chose each other, and a mission that brought light to countless broken hearts. Elena's legacy lived on not just in my memories, but in every life we touched, every tear we dried, every smile we restored. She had taught me that love multiplies when shared, that healing becomes possible when we open our hearts to new possibilities, and that sometimes the most profound miracles come wrapped in the most ordinary moments. As I drifted off to sleep, surrounded by the family Elena's love had made possible, I whispered a quiet thank you into the darkness. Thank you for the pain that led to purpose, the loss that led to love, and the endings that became the most beautiful beginnings. In the garden outside our window, the flowers Elena had never seen but somehow helped plant swayed gently in the night breeze, carrying with them the dreams of all the wounded hearts that had found their way home to healing, hope, and love. And in the morning there would be more stories to write, more hearts to heal, more proof that love really is the force that makes all things possible, even the impossible dream of a second chance at happiness for a man who thought his story had ended 9 years ago in a hospital room, holding the hand of the only woman he thought he could ever love. But love, as it turned out, was much bigger than he had ever imagined. Big enough to include a little girl with green eyes, a single mother with a generous heart, a magical garden, and a community of healing that would grow and flourish for generations to come. The story that began with death had become a celebration of life. The ending that felt final had become the first chapter of something even more beautiful, and the love that seemed lost forever had found new ways to bloom, spreading its seeds of hope across every life it touched. This was Elena's true gift to the world, not just the love she had given in life, but the love she continued to inspire long after she was gone. A love that built families, healed hearts, and proved that some bonds are strong enough to bridge even the divide between heaven and earth. And it all started with a little girl who looked like an angel, kneeling in the dirt of a farmer's market, showing a broken man that kindness still existed in the world, and that sometimes, if we're very lucky, it comes to us wearing the face of someone we've never forgotten, bringing us exactly what we need when we need it most. The end.